miss the point of that question, which is how do you relate to science, which I do see in all your work in a much stronger way, science in the level of knowledge of phenomena, knowledge of life, knowledge of how the world works. Then I would see technology as a tool. Technology is a tool for many things, but it's not taking technology out of the question. I mean, you were at NASA. A lot of your work, in many ways, has got that invention attitude, which is relating way back to pure science more than technology itself. How do you approach yourself as science?
Well, I think the thing I love the best about science is that it's always wrong. You can't believe it. It's always changing.
Yeah.
You know, so people who try to believe in science, they kind of go, I don't have this, religious system.
Literary knowledge.
Yeah. So you know that for sure, the scientific fact, the ones that we always want to, have for science tells us, is absolutely wrong. It will be disproved, for sure. And I love that we're, living in this kind of cycle of stupidity. It's because I think that, and I also, I love these theories, of how things work. They're very colorful. We come up with really colorful explanations of things, and I like the fact that they seem to be sort of real. But I'm somebody who believes, believes that we're not even here. None of us are even in this room. I don't actually believe that we are here. I probably shouldn't say that, but you know what I'm saying, that much of what we experience is a deep, deep, deep illusion. And I trust that more than anything, I have to say. And makes me very happy. Even it makes me think of just something very open, free, and not... As a kid, I worshipped the sky. It was my own personal religion. I would walk to school, and I would look up at the sky, which was, especially in winter, extremely beautiful. All the trees bare with little squirrels running around, and this huge, empty sky. So it gave me the feeling of possibility and freedom. So all my life as an artist, I try to recreate this feeling of looking up and going, almost like you could fall into the sky. Just this feeling of just absolute freedom, no rules, and so this is one thing I do remember very clearly from being a child, of this beauty of the sky. And in one of the, I think there's, oh no, I didn't write that on the wall, but I would have to say the majesty of trees. You just see this and feel so awestruck. So, and I suppose that science sometimes has that. When you see some of the ways that things work, or appear to work, let's say, it's thrilling, to discover some of those things. So when I was had this crazy job at NASA, artist in residence at NASA, so weird, so they called me up. I was describing this to Joe yesterday, because he asked me, Joe from TV.
Just right.
Yeah. So he says, so anyway, they called me on a bad day. I was in a very bad day in the studio, just like, everything's going wrong. I'm thinking, boy, I'm trying to do this. Everything sounded stupid. Phone rings. Hello, I'm from NASA. And we'd like you to be the first artist in residence. I said, you're not from NASA. Are you kidding me? Hang up. He calls again. I'm from NASA. So anytime somebody gets your secret, dream and, you know, pins you. You're kind of like, ooh, that's uncomfortable. So he said, you know, I said, okay, what do you mean, like, artist in residence at NASA, at a space program? I mean, where do you go in the residence? And he says, we don't know. Where do you think you should go? I said, oh, space. It's space, you know. Who are you? You know. And so I took the job because I love this guy, and because I just like a ill-defined job. No definition. You make it up. You just make it up. I mean, this is the best kind of job. So I just went around, sneaking around to different places. Mission Control in Houston, Jet Propulsion Lab in Pasadena, Hubble Space Telescope in Maryland, you know, different places. Artist in residence badge, you know, don't get me in very many rooms, though I have to say. But people I love talking to the most were the nanotechnologists, because they are the most theoretical there. I love the engineers too, because they were building like the fastest truck in the world. And they were, you know, people that I wouldn't meet normally. Like at lunch hour in a big warehouse, they would say, okay, now I'm going to unveil the fastest truck in the world that I invented. And then he would jump on top of the truck and you're like, how did he get there, you know? And he was a guy, I remember this engineer, he was a robotics engineer. And he had just come back. He was an ex-Navy SEAL. And he was a mountaineer. And he'd just come down from climbing a mountain. His friend had climbed a mountain and had died in a cave in a snowstorm. And he had just climbed the same mountain to bring his friend's body down in the snowstorm. This kind of guy. Very brave. And not the kind of guy that I would meet normally in the art world. Not that people in the art world are not brave,
Yeah.
but they're brave in a different way. But this guy was macho, robotic, brave, you know, so it was fascinating, you know, beautiful. And the nanotechnologists are the ones who were theoretical. And we had, I realized, more in common, artists and scientists, than I thought. And one reason is they don't know what they're looking for either. And they use the same method of doing it. In other words, get a hunch, get a kind of idea, then you make something, you look at it, it doesn't work, you make it again, and then you have the same identical question. When is it finished? When is it done? In order to know the answer to that, you have to know another answer, which is, what are you making? So, anyway, I found that they were very interesting characters because they would often cite Einstein in their discussions, because they would say that Einstein said he rejected some of his most well-known theories. Why? Because he said they weren't beautiful. What does that mean? What is he looking for? What are the criteria that he says, you know, that would make it beautiful, X, you know, also / true? Yeah. For a Westerner, that might include something like symmetry, beauty, what we call beauty. If you take that concept to maybe Japan, it would be different. We think X has to rhyme with Y. Symmetry is a kind of twinning operation, you know. Something equals that in terms of meaning, in terms of rhyming, in terms of why? Because we have 2 eyes, bicameral brain, 2 feet. Is this what makes it so beautiful? Because it looks like us. So much like us. Must be beautiful. True. So let's say that's one way for 2 things to relate to each other. They are mirrors in a way. And we like that. It's beautiful. But if you take that concept of 2 to Japan, for example, in many